So here, so PC is anything which is in the LAN, which is trusted. We can trust the PC or the user, but normally we should not, because as per the security, right? So any PC or any device which is having the IP, right, or any internet or private, it's vulnerable, right? So the best security, this one is whichever is server or anything which is shut down, right, which is not at all connected. So that we call it, but that is not the like that will not be practical. If we want to communicate to the outside world, we would need a, it should be on and connected to the network only. So now piece is there, and we like I just told you, this is a trust, right? We can trust this one. So normally whenever we are configuring on the firewall, we use this kind of terms. And internet, so this one we call as untrust, right? So this is kind of a naming convention that you can use whenever we are configure on the firewalls, right? So when PC is communicating from from private to the public, right? So we would need a lot of things, right? Because this will be the private IP range will be there for this one. Private IP range will be there, and here it will be the public IP range, which can be routed over the internet, right? So this is the public one, right? And this is the private one, right? So if you want to route here to here, so then we would need a functionality that is called as NAT, right? So this is one of the functionality of the firewall, right? And there are other functionality, but before that, say once the uh, private PC or the user he wants to connect to internet, let's take an example of the machine. Let's say this is having the IP of 10.1.1.1, and it want to connect to 8888, right? Or any web server. This is a Google DNS that I'm saying, just doing the ping or the Google DNS to check the connectivity, or could be any web server, right? So here I'm taking the protocol of this ping ICMP, right? And it could be any other protocol. And the uh, here the for whenever we are doing this ICMP, there will be protocol one will be there, right? So if I'm going to, apart from ICMP, if I'm taking any other protocol like AT and 443, which will be basically AT is for HTTP access and 443 is for the HTTPS access, right? So these will act as the our destination protocol or ports, and in the source. At the PC, the dynamic port, right? So it's the source ports will be dynamic, and the NIC of the PC will select the random port to communicate to outside world whenever the user initiate the communication. So it will be in the range of 1024 to 65,535, right? So this is called as the these ports are called as the not standard ports. This is a random ports that we call. So standard ports are 1 to 1024, where you have seen this 22 SMTP, right? SSH is for 22, SMTP 25, and then we have 8443 NTP, right? And some other file transfer protocols. Right, so many protocols are there. So that will come under the 1 to 1024 range, the source port. But here the source one will be anything within this one. So this is the first one: source IP, source port, destination IP, destination port, and the protocol ICMP or HTTP, right? Anything, and the interface, right? Which is the interface? This is the one interface, right? ETH one, right? Ethernet one, and here this is a Ethernet two. interface I'm taking. So this is one interface. So then there will be interface, right? So once this is it's want to communicate, so we would need to have the NAT, right, which will do the translation of this private to the public, and then so there will be a firewall policy because the firewall functionality is to deny the traffic by default. So we need to have the firewall policy to allow the traffic from this zone to this zone, right? From trust zone to untrust zone. And this each one is belong to trust zone and each two belong to untrust zone. And then there will be netting for this one. And we should have a route to reach to the internet, right? We should have a route, right? The path, right? So the when a packet reaches to firewall, it sees that okay, it wants to go to the public one, so it needs to have a route to reach to the public, right? So that is called as the route, which could be ISP, multiple ISPs, or single ISP based upon the setup that company is looking into. So then once that is done, so all these things will be checked, and then if it is a just the firewall, right? So then this functionality only will be checked, right? There is no other functionality will be there, and it just forward the packet, right? But whereas in stateful firewall, right? Stateful firewall, just clear the screen. So stateful firewall, what happens? So the user is connected to internet, right? And that session, right? So the important term is session, right? So the session information will be saved on the firewall, right? For a particular period of time. If it's a TCP, then there will be a particular time, and then there is a UDP is there, and then there is a ICMP is there, right? So ICMP. So all these protocols based upon the timeout, right? Timeout session of these protocols. So the session ID will be created, and next packet will follow the same session if it sees the if it matches the source IP, destination IP, and all the parameters, source port and destination port. So that is a stateful firewall which will remember the connections of of the to allow or deny the traffic, which will remember the connections and take a action, right? It will process that. That intelligence is having the stateful firewall, right? So that is a stateful firewall, right? And then we have the next generation firewall, right? So what would happen, right? So think that there is a port 80 is there, right? Or normally we don't access over the internet for port 80. We'll be accessing 443. So let's take 443 only, right? Whenever we are accessing port 443, that's right from inside to outside. So we should note that this is a secured one and the application is secured. Earlier we used to allow on the port basis. Now there are multiple applications which will work on 443, but it could be attack, right? So that one, because it's just the port that we are seeing here, right, at the firewall. But what will happen now? Next generation firewall, it is having the intelligence of going and checking the on the application level. Right? Application level is say 443, right? In 443, if you do 443, what are the requests that I will be getting? Get, post, right? So those are the methods that I will be getting. So next generation firewall will look actually is the conversation is happening on HTTPS or is there any some attacks is going on, right? So it will have that intelligence of the application awareness, which is called as in the Palo Alto firewall we call as the Applipedia. So that is a uh, document or the database we can call, which will have the all the signatures of the applications over the world, whatever the applications, and we have the inbuilt applications and we can build the custom based applications. So in that way, I can filter on the application level. So that is basically the use of the next generation firewall. And Palo Alto is a leader in this technology application firewall, which is called as the Applipedia based inspection. So it will exactly like we allow the policy, not on the source port, destination port, everything. So we'll select the application, say application, there will be a field that we need to select it like HTTPS or inbuilt application. So there are ICMP if you want to allow ICMP, and we can select that and we can log the session. So that's how the application based inspection will happen. So next one is the, say I don't know, right? So there could be multiple users here. So next one will be the user ID. So this is the main feature of the Palo Alto firewall. Whatever the feature I'm talking about is our Palo Alto firewall features only. Just remember that. So there will be two users, and same users cannot get have the same rights to access the internet, right? Because there will be some accounts department and there will be some IT department. So they have different roles to perform the activity in an organization. So we can divide them by creating the, say, one use accounts group into one of the accounts uh, role, right? Accounts role, we can call the accounts role, which will be created in AD, right? Or AD, it will be there. And then we'll be having this integration with the LDAP or radius server, any terminal server that you take it, or locally also we can have that user created. And then we can map these users, user ID, right? So I can say that, so whoever is the user, and then I can map to group, right? And then that group I can call here to allow the access, say the accounts user, right? Accounts user, which then it'll once the request reaches to account firewall request up to AD, right? And AD will tell that this is a user, he can go for the this access. So it will be validated with the AD, then only authentication done with the AD, or authentication done with the LDAP or radius, then the rights will be given. Okay, this is a genuine user and you can go ahead and access. So this is called as the user ID based authentication, or user ID based firewall rule allow between the source and the destination, right? And the last one will be the content, right? Content. So whenever user is accessing any application, so we should know that is it the content based filtering that can be done, right? So we can allow a filter on the say web filtering will be there, and apart from that we can filter some of the files which need not to access over the internet. So basically the content wise inspection also will happen, so that we call as the content. So these three are the main feature of the Palo Alto firewall, and it will help the organization to have the application level visibility at the firewall itself, right? So this is just to brief you on the Palo Alto feature, right? And then we start with the different features that we have seen earlier, and then we'll see the next steps, right? So there is a deep packet inspection and app ID. I have told on that, user ID. So there is a IPS. So this is intrusion prevention system. So basically what will happen here, any kind of vulnerabilities, right? So that will be detected by the IDS, and IPS is it's a attack prevention system. So it will detect that and it will block the traffic based upon the signature. So here there's a signature actually. So there's a signature. So and this is also inbuilt in the next generation firewall, which is nothing but our Palo Alto firewall. And just to tell on that, so there are multiple firewalls, which is next generation firewalls, right? Palo Alto, FortiGate, Cisco, Checkpoint, right? So all these firewalls will support, right? All these firewalls will support next generation firewall features, which are we are going to discuss now. Right? Already we have covered some three, four features, and then we'll be discussing the remaining things. So there is a another concept is called SSL or TLS decryption, right? So so this is a very important feature, right? So where secure socket layer or transport layer security, so that we call. So nowadays, whenever the user wants to establish the communication towards the internet, so there will be a protocol which HTTPS uses. It will be SSL or TLS. So now there will be TLS protocol, right? So it's a transport layer security, very secure protocol. So that will be like TLS 1.2, 1.3. Those are all being used now. So the security is very too much, and because of the growing attacks, zero-day attacks, right? So any kind of attack. So this uh, Palo Alto will act as the decryption device, right? It will as a decryption device, right? And whenever the user is initiated the traffic and it is going towards the internet, so it will act as a decryption device, and then it will inspect all the application level uh, signatures over there, and then it will take the action for that, right? So is it encrypted traffic, right? Uh, so this is what has been given: data exploitation attempts, right? Anything data manipulation is there or anything, so that will be there. So that inspection we call as the SSL or TLS decryption. There are different deployment methods on the Palo Alto whenever we talk on the SSL decryption methods. So this one also we'll be seeing. URL filtering and content inspection. So So this is basically to block the kind of web filtering, we will call that in general terms. UTM also we'll call that, right? So and the content, right? Whatever is there, the files and the content, what actually is the actual content when accessing the particular website. So those things will be taken care by this feature, URL filtering. So advanced malware protection, right? So this is another feature where we see that the zero-day attacks, the keyword is zero-day attacks here. So this feature also will be seen, the zero-day malware, right? So zero-day in the sense, basically, what is zero-day, right? So as of like there is an attack, right? And we don't know what is that attack. We don't have, no one is having any awareness on that attack, right, which is happened on the server, right, and there is no prevention method, right. So that is we call as the zero-day attack, right, and how we can prevent that. So those things will be covered by advanced malware protection. Going next, actually, so there is an integration that you can do with the another third-party security systems or the Palo Alto one only security systems for that. Say we have this endpoint protection, right, which will give us the visibility on the respective PCs which are connected over your network, right? What is the endpoint security? It has been placed like there is a semantic endpoint protection is there, so we can integrate with that. And security information and event management, SIEM tool. So this is suppose you have, like in any organization you take, there are multiple devices will be there, right? And we will not be able to uh, go log in and access each device to have the logs, right? So it's in an organization there will be like 30,000 devices, most many devices will be there, like so in complex organization, so or in a simple organization, so we'll be having many devices to have a uniform check on that. So that is that tool we call as security information and event management, CM tool. One of the example is QRadar tool, where we get the logs from the all the devices, all the firewalls, right? And then we can see if the traffic is allowing or denying, where exactly it is there, is it received or not. So over the tool also we will see that. So this is the monitoring tool, uh, CM tool, and we can integrate the Palo Alto firewalls with that. Threat intelligence platform and cloud security. So there are threat intelligence platform like Wildfire we have. So in the Palo Alto firewall, where we have the intelligence that is which is on the cloud basis. Wildfire is on the cloud basis. So that whenever the attacks comes, right, whenever there any traffic that we want to inspect, so we send it to the uh, wildfire for the analysis, and wildfire will take a decision based upon that, is to allow or deny, and then it will pass to us. So that is the threat intelligence platform that is built in. So like that we have the features. And cloud security, basically, right, we can deploy the firewalls on the cloud, AWS, Azure, Google, right, any Oracle or any other cloud, and then we will be having the uh, allow or deny or take action on the traffic that is going through the cloud, right? So that is basically called the cloud security. Yeah. So zero trust security model. So this is a very latest in the technology and the security. It's a very word, zero trust security model. So every organization has to align with the zero trust security model. So what this model says that basically trust no one, right? Trust no one. Have validate each and every one. This is a simple meaning of that zero trust security model, right? So we do not trust anyone. We have to make sure that the person is authorized to have the access to the uh, internet or whatever the application is there. So that is what it's called as zero trust security model, that we have to follow it, right? So we need to ensure that authentication is done and respect to authorization is done, right? And then we'll be having the logs also for that, to have the to ensure that zero trust security model is in place. So this cloud and hybrid security. So this one we have seen earlier. So whenever we are trying to establish the management access for the firewalls, right? So we have the management port, right? So this is a Palo Alto firewall. We have the management port, right? For that we have to connect the our PC with the LAN cable, right? So here we can see that the default IP of the this Palo Alto firewall will be 192.168.1.1, and we can have the same IP in the same range, and then we can access the firewall, right? So but there is a basic security that you have to commands that you have to enter whenever you want to have the access, right? And there will be default credentials like admin, and admin are the default credentials to access the firewalls. So we'll be accessing the HTTPS, basically 192.168.1.1. That is the method that we'll be using it. And then we can change the default password, going to the administrators and change the default passwords. And this is basically the management settings, how we can do that management settings and DNS servers. What is the setup? So this is basically the initial access that you can, how you can get in that. So in this our course, we'll be covering. So so we'll be covering concepts and the management access, how we can do that, right? So our setup will look like this one, right? So here, say the labs, right? Basically, so there is a Bangalore office, and then there is a management PC we have, and ISP internet, right? And then there is a London office, and then there is a Dubai office, right? So these three are the offices that we have, and then as part of the lab setup, then we'll be replicating the scenarios on this lab. And here I was showing what and all we'll be covering that. Yeah. Interface gateway, right? DNS, right? DNS is basically domain name server, so that we have to give it for the resolution purpose, right? And firewall software, how we can update the firewall software is a upgrade, how we can do that. So that is also VLC in the lab. And there are types of interfaces, right? So there's a tap interface, right? Virtual wire interface, layer 2 and layer 3, right? So normally you'll be knowing, right? Layer 3 means it works at layer 3 of the OSI model, right? Which will have the IP and the to have the communication. Layer 2 is basically the switch, right? So it will work as the switch port, right? And virtual wire and tap interfaces. So these two are the other types of interfaces that we will be seeing, right? Tap interfaces, basically what it will do, it will have the say monitoring, right? So we want to monitor anything, right? So that time we will go for the tap interface, and then we don't take any action on that. We'll not be able to take any action on the existing network. We just monitor or mirror one of the port, and then we see the logs, right? Is it good or is it genuine or whatever is there? So that is called as a tap interface. So virtual wire interface, so this is also similar to tap, but here what will happen? We can take the action on the virtual wire, right? Whatever is the action, we can take it. The existing network, we'll have the inspection. Say we can block the traffic. So those kind of features will be there in the virtual wire deployment mode or virtual wire interfaces. So there is one more was there. So there is the HA interface will be there. So where when we'll be using the HA interface whenever we have the deployment modes, right? So here you see the HA interfaces, PA, BLRA, and BLRB. We have the controlling, we have the data link, right? And there is a desktop here. And if Palo Alto BLRA, right, it fails, the Palo Alto BLRB should be able to take the traffic towards the outside. So that is that time we will be configuring these as the HA interfaces, right? So that is another type of interface that we have. And security zone concept, what is security zone, right? And how to allow that, right? So all those parameters will be there. Virtual router, right? So basically virtual router in the sense, so I can divide the router into multiple multiple routers, right? Basically, and then I will be allowing the traffic based upon that, right? So here, so on this Bangalore A, say BLRA is there and BLRB is there, C is there, right? Desktop service, and I can decide the traffic, say BLRA and BLRB are from the production, and this is for non-production. So what I will be doing, I can create the virtual router here on the firewall, and I will map the say these two for the one virtual router, and this one is for the another virtual router. So like that, I can map the virtual router instance so that I can segregate the traffic at the interface level, and then it will be forwarded. The decision will be taken based upon that virtual router. So, so that is a virtual router concept we have, and zones, virtual router, and interfaces. So basically, here these three terms or go in the same hand in hand. Basically, interfaces belongs to zones, zone belongs to virtual router. One interface can belongs to one zone, and zone belongs to one virtual router. Right. So in that way, so that is a concept that we'll be learning that. And then there is a default route. Right. Whenever you want to go to any other network or anything, so there will be a route required. So that one we'll be seeing how we can have the route to the internet or to any other destination. So in the routing, so there is also dynamic routing will be there. So dynamic routing basically protocols are like OSPF and BGP. Right? How we can run that? What are the different port status and status of building the OSPF and BGP, and then how can establish the neighborship on between the routers, right? So those things we will see in the dynamic routing. So the next one is NAT and PAT concept, where uh, if we want to reach to any destination internet, so we will be having the normally the source NAT, and then if anyone wants to go for the access towards the LAN side, we'll be having the destination NAT. So all these NATs, right? How it is you can use that in the firewall, right? So there are PAT is there, right? Port address translation is there. So how we can do that? So all these things we will be seeing in the lab also. So these are some of the features that we have seen, and there is a security policies, how we can configure the security policy to allow the traffic, deny the traffic, and log, right? On the application level, how we can configure that. So those things, and policy verification and traffic logs, how where we can verify the policy and where you can see the traffic, and using tags, right? So we can use the tags so that we can filter with that tags the related traffic. We can have the filter with the tags. So that's how it is there. And accessing DMG servers overview, right? So DMG is basically the demilitarized zone, right? So you see here DMZ. So it's kind of a demilitarized zone, and desktop BLRZ. So it's a demilitarized zone where the secured servers will be stored. Like you have your own web servers, app servers, and DB servers. So those things will be there in the demilitarized zone, which is a secured one. So how we can allow the access between the demilitarized zone to the other internal zone, right? So that one we will be seeing the DMZ concept. Right? So zone protection profiles. So whenever you want to protect the zone, so that normally this is the feature that is required, so that you can the protection profiles will be integrated with the complete to the zone, and then whatever the interfaces that belongs to the zone, everything will be inherited with that protection profiles, right? So so those things also will be seeing that. I'm just covering the overall concept and just giving the uh, description of that here. Interface management profiles. So basically, whenever we configure any interface, so we can see that what are the traffics we need to allow on that. So those things, and configuration management, how many backups we can take, how can save the configuration, right? So if anyone is new to the Palo Alto, so we need to have the separate configuration, right? So to save the like we need to commit the configuration, or we need to save the configuration in order to takes into place. right? So normally what will happen if there are any other firewalls, so that time whenever you enter the command, so it get automatically executed, right? But in Palo Alto we don't have that. This one, it will ask us to validate it, check it, check for the syntax, and then it will, whenever we enter the commit, that this everything is fine, then only the configuration will takes place, right? This is a very best feature in the that firewall can provide, right? And we have the same, right? So in the commit also we have the commit and rollback concept we have. So we can roll back the configuration, the earlier configuration, by just check for 5 minutes and just roll back the, right? So that in any case of routing changes or anything, that we can use that configure commit and rollback kind of concept. So there is app ID. So we just said the earlier, this Applipid uses this one, and there are inbuilt application that we can allow it, and there's a response pages we can create it for that, and then URL filtering will be there, antivirus. So these are this comes under the profiles actually. So this also will be seeing that, and this is also there. Further to that, there are other profiles also, like you see here, vulnerability protection. So and then file blocking profiles. So these are the other protection mechanism that we are seeing. Data filtering, right? File blocking in the sense the zip file or any kind of extension that we can block it, PDF, ZAR, right? So specific file blocking methods that we will be seeing in the file blocking profiles. So data filtering is basically to secure the data. So that is also we'll be seeing here, and security profile groups. So and then we have the SSL decryption. So this also the like what is the decryption methods, and how can we have the secure communication with the help of the SSL decryption device. Normally this functionality was not there in the firewalls, but this was introduced as part of the next generation firewall features of that. So then certificate management. For the authentication, we'll be using the certificate. So how we can deploy that? There's a user ID concept, which I said earlier, to integrate with the LDAP or AD, the users, and then to allow based upon the user ID on that. Right. So there's a wildfire, which is basically the attack uh, prevention mechanism that is based on the cloud, and it basically detects the it basically suggests us the traffic is genuine or is it a not genuine traffic based upon that. So there are risky IPs how we can block it, and then high availability to have the in the networking terms. Normally, high availability should be there, because if you take any device, there should be a redundant device of the same model, same version, and same interfaces that should be there. So license also will be there. So all these parameters should take, and if any device fails, the other device, the backup device, will take care, right? So, and we have the active passive and the active active scenarios, where active passive in the sense there is only one device only active, right? So here if you see, so if you take this one, active passive in the sense, say now this you can see, right? Now I have marked this as the on, right? This device is on now, this device is off, right? So whenever this goes down, this will forward the traffic, right? So that time we call as the active passive. And when we have both the firewall up and running, and we are uh, sending the traffic on both the firewalls based upon the parameters, so that time we will call as the active traffic. That both the firewalls will be active and they will be sharing the load towards the outside. So those things, and how we can have the different links and concept and implementation, everything we'll see that. And the main thing is packet capture, right? So if you're learning any firewall, you should know about the troubleshooting, which is basically the mainly on the packet capture. The other troubleshooting will go in each in concept wise, right? But the packet capture we have to have it separately, because so this will help us in detailed debugging of the traffic analysis, right? So we can do the see the packet when the we can see the how it looks at the here Ethernet 1/4, which is ingress, firewall receive we call that, and whenever it is sending out, right, so it is a transmit we call that, and so the receive transmit is there, and then there will be firewall, that is another kind of filter that we have, and then there is a drop, right, whichever if anything is dropping, that also we'll be able to see. So these are the filters that you can set in the packet capture. So normally in any firewall, if you learn, so just remember how well you have learned packet capture, so that you are thoroughly mastered the firewall content. Whatever, so that is where you will be understanding what is in-depth analysis of the firewall. So if you're not learning the packet capture of any of the firewalls, then it will be a blocker for you in case of real-time troubleshooting or whenever you are working as the engineer, right? So that time like it will be very difficult to understand where exactly the packet is there, where exactly it is going, right? How the session is getting formed, and which module is it denied by the route, or is it denied by the policy, or there is any inspection that has happened, filtering is there, all right, and size is there, or if the session is going through, then what is the session and where. So in that way you will be able to see clearly, right? If the drop, if in case of any drop is there, so that time you have the packet capture that can be created for the drop filter also. So there are four stages that you can configure in the Palo Alto. Right. So application command center, right? So this is a main feature. So that will give the application level control and analysis, basically, like what are the top 10 applications which are creating the uh, issues, or top 10 sources like that. So this is basically related to application command, application actually. So that is a separate tab will be there. So these are the basic things. And as I said, so the setup will be this one that will be replicating that. And there will be workbook to replicate the each of the modules right here. One of the workbook I will show you. uh, You see here how we can get into CLI, right? And the GUI method and VLAN tags, sub interfaces, right? Management profiles, zones, interface IP, how we can set that, and static routing. So there are routing, this one is there. So how we can set that interface IP policies, static routing, and there is a default routing is there. So there are different models you see here. So routing and NAT, destination NAT. uh, So we'll be having the each and every steps that will be given actually for the instruction. Like whenever you want to communicate to say uh, on this the destination NAT, right? So how we can do that and the setup, right? And then what are the procedure, right? So this will be explained about, we'll be explaining about each of the procedures, right? And with the command show interface all, right? So like this commands also you'll be seeing, right? Because the commands are, how much ever the GUI is say user friendly, right? So we have the Palo Alto Fortinet multiple firewalls we have, but the CLI will give the complete control, right? We'll not be able to have the all the features which are integrated in the GUI because of the limitation. So here Palo Alto has made ensure that most of the features that are required for the operations that are already there on the GUI, but however command line will give the complete in-depth analysis, right, of the any uh, packet flow. Right? So So if you go for the virtual wire concept and say application control, right? So we have seen this application. What is this application control? Right? This is one of the next generation firewall feature, right? So here you see, should not be able to like there will be desktop on A, which is the this PC, right? So here desktop London A, this PC, and we want to configure the Palo Alto firewall to various internet hosted applications, right? So it's basically in the application level filtering, right? And you should not be able to access Google Drive, but all the other services. And we have to block chat in the Facebook, but could browse, right? So in the Facebook also there are multiple applications. So how we can do that? So so those things also we'll be seeing here. So if we go next list, so there is a NAT. We have to configure that NAT, right? So you see NAT, NAT policy rule. We have to do that original packet zone, and then you see we have to commit the configuration. Whenever we have done that configuration, we have to commit it. So here you see, right, general, original packet, translated packet, right? So you see the source zone inside and destination zone, right? And address you have to give it, right? What is the address that you are doing it? So here we are giving the inside and it's coming from the inside going towards the outside. Destination translated packet will be this one, um, Ethernet 1/7 and any, right? So like this. So here we'll be having the policy route. Then you click on translated packet. So once you click on translated packet, so he'll be giving the outside interface for that. And then apart from that, say there is a URL filtering, right? The application level filtering, how we can do that. So that will come under the, everything will be under the policy, right? So here, if you go to the policy, there is a security, NAT, cost policy, PBR, policy based forwarding, right? So this will take care of any of the routing. Before that, it will be this function will be initiated. Decryption, tunnel inspection, application override, right? So if you want to, if there is any custom application is there in your network, and if you want to allow that without being inspected with the application ID, which is there in the present Palo Alto firewall, that time we'll be using the application override and authentication policy, DOS protection, SD-WAN. So all these are the policies that are present actually. So now you see inside, outside, and the application. Right. So you see here. So we'll be seeing this application because normally in the next generation firewall, just remember this one all the time whenever you are working on the firewalls, Facebook chat, right? And Facebook social plugin, Google Drive web. So these things, right? So these things we need not to allow, right? So that is what is the policy that we, that is a, uh, Facebook can be browsed, but there is no Google Drive access, right? For any information that is you want to download or anything. So that time we will not allow that. So click actions, then they will be denying that and we'll be logging it, right? So local logging will be there. We'll log the session start also and if, at the end also we log. If we log at the session end, then all the complete information will be there from this initial to the end of the session. So here how like this is like this one. So then action will be block, right? Or deny or anything block. We can say that. So this is one more send ICMP unreachable is there. So this also action we can select it if you want. So we can forward the log also for analysis purpose. And then how we can see Facebook we can access it, right? And then see for accessing the chat in the Facebook. So it's showing no internet connection. So like that, so there are different methods, right? So how we can have the mechanism. So different types of concept that are inbuilt. So this will be your lab actually, and it's a workbook actually, so that you can practice, and same setup that will be given to you for the analysis. Like you can work on that and replicate the scenario, understand that, and say if you whenever we'll like once this is given and we have to click on write and start and all the device, whenever whichever the device we want to use it, we use that so that it will be resource intensive, and then it will have the stuck on this CPU intensive. So that's why we make sure that whatever the device you are using, just as per the module you use it, and then you make off, right? So you can select and make it stop, right? So all these things you can do it. Now we see here. So just log into one of the firewall which is already there. So we have configured the basic things. Let's check that. So this one is basically this PABLRA, and we are accessing this to Windows to the management PC and this management port that is connected to this firewall. So that is the access that we have in this. So it's a Palo Alto West 10, and we see the right. So whenever you are upgrading an image or anything, so we need to go with each firewall feature, right? Say this is IoT security is there, right? So Internet of Things that we call for the IoT, right? So bring in device. So what is the security that we have, right? So those things it is covered in this one, and inline machine language, right, for URL filtering and wildfire. So so you can see all the features and their description, telemetry, global protect. It's kind of global protect is basically the SSL VPN to give the access towards the your internal resource from the outside. So there's a IPS signature, right? So all these features, right? So it is already there. So we have to completely understand that whenever we are going with a particular version, right? And whether our old network, right, whatever we are having the network, and then is that any of the feature is missing or any changes is there in the configuration or any support is not there, right? Or what are the additional if we upgrade it, what is the consequence of that? So that time we have to have the complete analysis on that. Telemetry sharing. So you can see that. So every information will be there, but we have to go through that each and every information. Then only we can will be able to see that. So this is a dashboard of the Palo Alto, right, of this firewall, right, and there's a general information. You'll be able to see it. VM, Palo Alto VM deployed one, right, and then management IP address will be this one, 192.168.100.101, and management uh, network mask, right? So that is this one. So there's no default gateway is configured, right? So IPv6 address is empty. So there will be a serial number is not there, right? So because since the VM device, so I think it is not there. So these are all the other software version, and then you see the application version, right? And also the timing, right? What are the timing actually there? Right? And system resources. This is management CPU, data CPU, session count, right? So you see the session count, right? These many sessions that can support, right? If it is exceeding that, then automatically it will drop that. That's what is the thing actually it is given. data plane and management plane, right? So this is the CPU. Management plane will be taking care of the management configurations, reporting, logging. So that those things will be taken care of by management. Data plane will actually will send the process the traffic, which is decided by the management plane. So it basically takes the traffic, process it. Uh, the actual carrier will be data plane, right? The decision will be taken by the another plane, which is called as the control plane, where it will make the intelligent decision, right? Of the brain, we can call as the control plane as the brain of the firewall, and data plane is acting like a vehicle or to take the decision, whatever the decision that has been taken, the copy is forwarded to the data plane, and it will just process it on that. And who are the admins which are logged in now? So you see their IP, client and session start and idle for this time, right? So which is a web, right? So I can log in with the CLI, then it will shows CLI or SSH method like that. So in that way, config logs, and I can create a log of the configuration, right? So changes. So I don't have any log now. And then system logs, what are the activities which were done? So that it will be showing here in the system logs. This is not the traffic logs or anything. This is just the system logs that we'll be seeing that what when the logged in is there, authentication has happened or not, right? So these kind of things with related to system. So we see that here system logs. So this is your dashboard. So application control command center risk factor actually. So this is what is the parameter 0 is there. So if it is going here, it will be high risk. If it's green, it's a less risk. So here, this is a very important activity whenever you are a production network, right? So this is a network activity, right? And here you'll be seeing this bytes, sessions, threads. So currently nothing we have applications, we are not configured anything. So that time we will see. But if you have the Palo Alto firewalls in our working for in our organization, right? So you can just export this, right? What is application command center network activity? You'll see that, say, and the sessions, right? How many sessions are there, right? And if there is any threat, right? User activity. So there is a threat activity. So based upon that, this score, right? What application command center score will be decided. SSL activity. Who are the users who are using for SSL and global protect, right? So tunnel activity. So if you have the IPsec VPN tunnel, right? So from that, what is the usage, right? So you have that is the tunnel is up or not, so right? So you have that kind of visibility, and we can filter over the timing here also. How much timing that we need it, right? For the logs. So this is basically the application command center, right? But before that, like we go to device. So I went for device users, say monitor policies will come under like after the device, right? This will be better of explanation once you cover the device and then network, right? So then these are integrated, and this will be the last part. So that is how I thought of covering this dashboard. So in the device, right? So setup, right? And then there is a management operations, right? Interfaces, right? Telemetry. This is a different one. So in the device, we go for the management one. So host name, you can see that. And then so these are different settings, general settings that you can change it, right? Here you can change it. This edit parameter is there, so you can change it. Panorama, so you can able to push the configuration to the panorama, which will be the single plane where if you have more than two firewalls, so we can integrate with the panorama, and we can able to manage the configuration. We can push the configuration with the help of the templates on that templates and device objects. That one will be there in the panorama, and logs also we can see on that. Configuration also we can do from there. So we need not to log into the each firewall. So panorama settings will be there. Secure communication settings. So we need to enable that. Certificate. Currently there is no certificate for this one. The banner and messages. So here you see minimum password complexity. What are the minimum password length? So we can edit that to have the organization standard, right? In any organization, if you go to the policy, information security policy, there it will be saying what is the minimum length of the password, right? So those things you can in line with the policies, right? So because whenever the organization or audit happens, so that time if you are configuring the simple password, right? So there will be a violation that will be done, right? So that's why we need to make ensure that security is our main concern. So we have to align with that policy rule base, right? Tag on policies. So some of the features are not checked here. So that is not the like we like if you want to have that feature, then we need to check that option. Logging and reporting. Log storage is totally 15 GB of storage that is there now. So these many parameters are there. So this will under management. These are the management one. And then there is a operations, right? So what are the operations task that you can do it for the configuration, right? So you can revert it configuration to the last saved one, right? And you can save the configuration. So there will be totally 50 kind of configuration that we'll have on these firewalls. So whenever you save that, so we can roll back that, right? So and we can export the current configuration into a snapshot whenever you want to have the upgrade or anything. So we'll for a safer side we'll export it, and meanwhile also we'll save it. Right. If you want to load the configuration which was there earlier, so that time we will use the load button. That and import button is also there. So from any outside device we can import it. So this is a configuration that the tab and device operations, reboot device, shutdown device. So we have all the feature here. Right, so miscellaneous. So this basic operations that we can carry on. Services. So this is update.palo alto networks for internet access. That is the one. And then DNS server. NTP server is not there. So in your organization, if NTP server is there, so these parameters you can change here. This is the management interface is enabled, right? And this is the IP address and what is the services that is enabled? Ping, HTTPS, SSH. Yeah. So telemetry, right? So this will be threat prevention mechanism, and everything is this is integrated with the cloud basis. So all these threat prevention and health check. So what are the things that you are going to have the information with the telemetry tool? So that is what we have to check here. Yeah, content ID. Right, URL filtering. What is the URL filtering that you can do it in the content ID only? We have covered this URL filtering, right? And the timeout, right? So you can override the URL admin. So that is what is there. Content ID, and then wildfire. So you see here wildfire.paloaltonetworks.com, right? So this is a public cloud where we get the analysis of the attack, right? So and then you see here file size limits. different file size, and these are the limits. If it's exceeding that, we can say that it is a for a particular period of time it is exceeding of this much attack. So then we can say that that is an attack. So like that, you can set the limit. This is what is the limit that is already set for using the wildfire feature. So then this will be applicable. So session information, all the information will be sent to the wildfire. So this is a session related settings, right? Rematch session and ICMP. So there are different session related parameters. So TCP parameters, VPN session parameters, right? So if the communication is happening and if anything is dropping in between at a random period of time, right? So then we have to come here and we have to check the what is the session timeout, and if the particular session is there or not, right? So this will be the one of the method to check it. So HSM is hardware security module, so, right? So I think this is act as an encryption module actually. Right, so this is also there, and DLP, data loss prevention module. So all this setup that is there here. So high availability. So how we can enable it's a configuration, right? So it's easy configuration, active, passive, and election settings, whatever you are giving, right? So it's a communication. So there are control links and data links, right? So these are main things, and how we can have the backup link for that. And there's a link monitoring, right? To see the LAN links and WAN links, which you can monitor and take the decision based upon that, right? So that is what is the HA, right? So this is under device. So there are multiple things, right? Say in the device, right? So this is kind of a multiple. So many things are there, right? So administrators, right? So this can be used for the logins, right? Authentication profile, user identification, right? So user ID setup, right? So these are the things, right? So server, you have to mention the server name, status will be given here, and you can say you can include or exclude the networks, right? Which you don't want to have the user ID monitoring, right? So that is separately given. So this is basically covers this user identification. So device quarantine. So you see here, so this is just the you can troubleshooting, right? So you see in the device itself, we have the troubleshooting, right? So if you want to check any particular NAT, it is getting matched or not, right? So we can just select the zone, whatever the zone you want to select here, from zone to zone, and just check it and check whether the NAT policy is getting matched or not, like that. Firewall policy, right? DOS policy is there, firewall policy. So there are many other things that is there, security policy, right? So you can just give the whatever the mandatory fields. So here this field is required, this field is required. So it's already highlighting. Only those fields you can give it and you can execute it, right? So this is used for troubleshooting purpose. This is under device. And then there are certificate management. So device certificates, right? So what are the device you are having, and default trusted one or the internet, what are the device that you are trusting it. So that is what it is. This is inbuilt, right? So that will be there. Profiles, right? So these are different under this one. So SSL decryption, right? SSL decryption. So it comes under the this one exclusions actually. So these are the exclusion that they have given. Right? So you can check that, uh, and you can mark that exclude from the decryption, right? So and log settings. So you can have a log that is sent to for each of the Panorama or SNMP or any of the this one. Server profiles. So LDAP if you're configuring that. So what are the things, right? Location server and other parameters you can see here. Radius, local user. This is a local user which you can create it locally. Software. Yeah, I think device is not there. Yeah. The dynamic updates. So like whenever it is we have licensed one, so that time it will be dynamic updates will be given, and you can check that say in this version what is the changes are there, so, and you can install or not, so you can have that. So but it is generally not recommended, because if you have the dynamic update running, right, so we don't know a feature and it will be automatically upgraded, right, so that should not be there. You can just action only, we can take that just the monitor or download the signatures. Say if you have this web filtering signature, antivirus, database signatures, wildfire signatures, right? So those things you can just download it, right? So installed or not, that it will be showing here. And licenses, right? License management, support. You whenever you want to raise the ticket with the team, right? So get the tech support file on that, and you can send that. And then we have the network. So network we have different, say it goes with the start with the interface, and we have these many interfaces now in just the tab, right? VLAN you can create, loopback, tunnel interface, SD-WAN interface. So all these things you can create, and all these interface should be a part of zone, right? And VLANs if you want to create it, VLANs you can create it. Right? And virtual router, right? Say now this virtual router we have created, we have created default one. It's already there in the default one only. So all these interfaces are mapped to that. And IPsec tunnels, right? So here you'll be seeing the IPsec tunnel configuration, where you can configure this for the any peer of the gateway. Say here we are configuring the VPN over the internet to the another site, say PL London A and PABLRA. So if you are configuring that Palo VPN, so that time, yeah, yeah, here we need to configure the like gateway for phase one and phase two parameters, and make sure that we are using the latest and highly encrypted, highly authenticated, and the pre-shared key should be shared over email. So like this, some of the security reasons, and then what are the proxy ID that we are configuring. So based upon the types of the VPN, route based and policy based, and we can see that here, GRE tunnel, generic routing protocol, right? So encapsulation protocol actually that is, and DHCP, right? So if you want the server to be act as a DHCP server, which will give the IP to the user, so that is probably DHCP server, and DHCP relays with nothing but, so it takes the IP from one of the DHCP server which is present in your corporate network, and then it give to users. DNS proxy, global protect. So here is a VPN site, remote access VPN. This is a global feature, and there will be portal, and from this portal there are different gateway that will be connecting for that. So these are the other parameters we'll configure in the global protect. Quality of service. So network profiles, these are the different network profiles. So whenever you're configuring the IPsec, so you have to configure from here IKE, say these are the parameters, it's already there, right? So you can select the different one, um, encryption algorithm, right? AES 128 or AES 256 authentication method, DH group, lifetime. So all these things you can configure. First you need to configure IKE and then IPsec, and then IKE gateway will be there. So interface management. So configure the interface management this profile, and this profile we can call under the particular interface for the management purpose. Zone protection. As I said, right? So earlier we have said one of the interfaces, right? Say SYN flood, UDP flood, right? So this is a flood protection and reconnaissance attack, right? Flood protection is a single time there will be multiple SYN packets will be sent to the particular source, right? So then it will be processing, a server will be busy in processing that, and it will not be able to give that like it will be compromisation will be there. So that is called as SYN flood, right? So these are flood kind of attacks. So ICMP, right? You initiate ICMP packets in a short duration. So how we can avoid that? Support scan everything. So this is basically avoided based upon the criteria where in during this much time I will restrict this one, right? If I above the threshold, and then we can configure that here. QS profile, LDP, BFW profile, BFD profile, bidirectional forwarding decision that we call here. Then this objects, configure the different objects, address group. So, so these are the objects. There are multiple objects groups are there, applications. Yeah. See here. So there is all is there, and custom application, disabled application, everything is there here. And on the category wise, I can make the selection. If I select business systems, all these things will come subcategory. I go to our database and then risk factor, right? For that. So these are the business this one, and there are two pages are there, right? So these are the category, right? On the category wise, you can clear that, right? So if it's a media one or if it's a networking, right? So if it's a networking, and then you go here, it's a gaming one, right? So you see all of these are the this one, and there's the risk factor that is given across this application. So whichever the application is there, collaboration. So email, right, and instant messaging. What is the protocols, right? So social business, social network, right? So like that, you will be able to see the application which are there, right? So you see now in the Facebook, right? So I go for collaboration, social networking, Facebook apps, Facebook base, Facebook code, right? So social plugin uploading. So each of these things will be there in the social networking. File sharing. So application groups, I can create the groups and I can take action. Service, global protect. Okay. So security profiles. So these are the say security profiles as I said earlier. So multiple security profiles we can configure and we need to call them in the security policy, right? So log forwarding, decryption. So in the policy, security policy, NAT policy, QS. So all these things are there. So these are the inbuilt, right? Default, right? So intrazone and interzone, the default that's policy, right? That's it. So intrazone is within the zone and interzone between two different zones. So in intrazone default, what's the settings that is there? Any allow is there, right? So that is what actually, and there is a deny is there for the intrazone, interzone traffic. So, and then there are NAT policies that we can configure for the source NAT or destination NAT want to translate it, and it will give the role usage, right? Like what is the last hit count, right? So you can see here only, you can ask the user to initiate the traffic and see if it is getting natted or not, and you can see the hit count and modified everything. You'll be able to see the usage here. This is very useful on the GUI basis. Cause decryption tunnel application override. So this and all we have discussed actually. And monitor, right? So in monitor you can see this traffic logs. Uh, so different traffic logs you can see that here. Uh, and threat logs, URL filtering logs. So the as per the security profile, these logs are categorized here, and you can able to see the uh, whatever the logs based upon that. There's a packet capture which I said earlier. From GUI only you can initiate the capture. So to make filtering on, then packet capture on, then you can select it and make sure that you make it turn off once you finish the task. Right. So this is the monitor kind of this one. So botnet. So everything is there here. Yeah, and just remember this one commit. Whenever you want to commit the configuration, you have to use the commit tool. Right. So it shows here no pending changes to commit. And so save changes, revert changes, and this is a locks, right? Which I can set a lock, and no one will be able to change it, right? So these are the things, uh, right? So whenever you are doing the Palo Alto one, so you'll be going through all these tabs and finding out, right? And then there is a CLI is there, so you'll be uh, uh, execute the command, show commands, and all the other commands, right? So which are related to traffic analysis, system parameters, and logging and everything. So this is what is our labs, and these are the contents which I have discussed earlier. And scenario will be this one, and this is a workbook that you'll be getting, right? So hope everything is clear from. And so I have a start of covering all the things, so covered most of the things, right? So I'll stop sharing now. Okay. So if you have any doubt or anything, so you can ask that.
Uh, can I start, sir? Hello?
Hello,
Hello? Yeah, am I audible?
hello.
Hello?
Yeah, you are audible. You can go ahead.
Just a moment.
Requesting any
Hello? Are you able to
everyone,
hear
if
me?
you having any doubt on the this one setup or anything you want to ask, please go ahead,
Hello?
or you can type the query in the chat also.
Uh, Hello, Raj. Can you hear me? Hello.
So Supriya was asking how to create a network connectivity between the Palo Alto and Azure network firewall for Azure VM. Okay. So this is, I assume this is a on-prem to the on-prem to the cloud-based connectivity, right? So that is what actually is the setup. On-prem to this one. Hello,
Yeah, hi, Raj. Can you hear us?
on-prem to the cloud setup. right? So that you have to set up actually for that Palo Alto to Azure Network Firewall.
Hello, Raj, can you hear us?
Yeah. Um, can type the questions here and type it for everyone. So
Yeah, guys, trainer is checking with
hello,
his audio thing.
hello Sajid.
Yeah, can you hear us? Hello. Yeah, just give us a second. So trainer is rejoining it once again. So you can keep your technical questions. So we'll be answering your questions. So once it's done with it, so I'll be taking it all, and I'll be explaining the all the details regarding course enrollment and access materials. Yeah, Raj, can you hear us?
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear us?
Yeah. I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, Abdullah, Hasib, you were asking something. You can go ahead.
Uh, are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, Abdul, I'm able to hear you.
Yeah. So I was asking about link aggregation in the firewall.
Okay.
Secondly, like we will be doing the routing protocols like EIGRP or
Yeah,
OSPF on the uh, command line or on the GUI.
yeah. So sub interfaces, right? So we are seeing the sub interfaces here, right? So on the LACP part, right? So we'll be covering that LACP part, link aggregation control protocol that we call, right? So and then
Yeah,
so that time we'll be say on this firewall, we'll be having two interfaces going to the another firewall, and then how do you manage that, right? So to have the redundancy, so that is one of the interface type that we can see that. And apart from that, routing protocol, right? So you ask
yeah,
about the routing protocol. So there is a routing protocol. It's a static routing. It will be there, and we can cover the default routing. And then there are other routing protocols also. It is covered. OSPF and BGP basically. So these are the normal things. So you see here, OSPF is there. So, so here, what will happen? Say on the CLI, right? So basically, normally we'll be going with the say the OSPF, right? So you see here. So this is a OSPF and what's the router ID and everything. So it's a GUI based configuration only, right? Because it is very easier to replicate on the GUI than in the CLI. So that's why we will be
Okay.
preferring the GUI method only. And wherever it requires the CLI one, so we have to go there and we have to follow that CLI method only that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have any concept of SD-WAN on the Palo Alto?
Yeah, SD-WAN is there. SD-WAN is there on the Palo Alto. Right? So, but it's an advanced topic actually, where we have the multiple links and redundancy, and we have to have the uh, path and failover across the SD-WAN links.
Okay. So we will be doing that part.
Yeah, SD-WAN, say once we finish all this basic concept and everything, so then we will explore that actually, SD-WAN.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll show you how
Okay,
we
sir.
can
Thank
configure
you.
that. Yeah.
Like, yeah, but why I'm asking you, I have seen in your uh, in the diagram, the network diagram, there are multiple links connecting. So, like, very good concept we can have. Anything about the server farm firewall, sir?
Server farm firewall.
Yeah.
No, no, no.
Okay,
No,
sir.
it's not that. It's not included.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, yeah. Welcome. Yeah. So this lab setup and then
Yeah, so if you guys have any technical questions, you can come up and you can ask for the trainer. And once it's done, I'll be taking the next part for the access and all the details providing things. Is there any technical questions from participant side? Yeah,
let me know.
Raj, you can whatever things you are doing, you can cover it up and you can hand it over to me.
Yeah. So it was a nice time that we had with the last 1.5 hour, right? And I'm glad that you have listened whatever the information I have given. Hope it was helpful for you, right? So and then we'll move over to Sajid for the next things. I'll just be dropping from the call. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, hello everyone. Myself Sajid. I'm the student relationship manager and the counselor. So I'm here to give you all the details regarding course and what all access and what all access and materials you'll be getting to this course. Okay. So let me just start with the first slide. So can anyone confirm? Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for confirmation. So let me start with my first slide. So as you guys can see here, so here you will get course syllabus and class schedules. So this will be a like two-in-one firewall course. Like here we'll be covering Palo Alto and FortiGate, both the firewalls. It's in combo format. Like in Palo Alto we'll be covering PCNSA and PCNSA core papers, and in FortiGate we'll be covering NAC core paper. Okay, and the next, like regarding to the class schedule. So once again, here is one mismatch. So it's a weekend batch, Saturday and Sunday. Okay, Saturday and Sunday, 9 a.m. to approximately 12 p.m. Somewhere 2 to 3 hours of session on every weekend, Saturday and Sunday. The course duration will comes up for 3 months. Okay, so overall, Palo Alto and FortiGate will take 3 months to cover all the course and all the topics to be covered in that time duration itself. Okay, and I will repeat once again, like this will be a weekend batch, Saturday, Sunday, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. IST, and the duration will be 3 months course duration. Okay, and this will be a Palo Alto and FortiGate combined combo course. So who are willing to join for the Palo Alto standalone, they can also join for the Palo Alto, and who are willing to join standalone for FortiGate, they can also join for the FortiGate. If you have any requirement like in your production for the Palo Alto and both the FortiGate firewalls your production is using, so you can go for the both the firewalls as well. Okay, and let me move towards the next slide. So here, as you can see, course enrollment and access details. Let me tell you what all access we'll be providing you once you are going to enroll for this course. Okay, so firstly, we'll be providing you the lifetime recording access of the classes which you will be attending through the Zoom meeting. That classes will be recorded and it will be uploaded to our web portal from the backend, and that recordings you can access it from the web portal interface. Okay, so that access will remain with you for lifetime. Whenever you want, you can access the your class recordings which you will be attending through your Zoom meeting, and that will remain with you for lifetime access. If in case if you are practicing, or if in case if you are preparing for the interviews, you want to recall something, if you want to overview the recordings, you can go through it and you'll be having the lifetime recording access. And secondly, we'll be providing you the remote lab access that you can access it totally remotely, 24/7, unlimited. Whenever you want, you can access the labs which are present on our servers and cloud servers. Okay. So one more thing, like for each firewall, we are providing the 4 months of lab access. This is like additional 1 month we are providing the lab access initially. So the lab access will be provided the 3 months. So if in case if you guys are practicing the labs and you want to extend some bit of lab access for each firewall. For Palo Alto, 4 months lab access you will get, and for FortiGate you will get 4 months of lab access. Okay, that can be accessible 24/7 as per your time regions, according to your times. Let's say if someone is staying in the US, UK, or some uh, Malaysia or Singapore. So as per their time regions, you guys can access your labs. The labs are 24/7 accessible. Okay. And we'll be providing you the dedicated materials like workbooks, PPTs, PDFs, step-by-step lab manuals, all the materials we will provide you that you can download and you can keep it with you as well. And the G drive access remains with you for lifetime. Let's say if in case if you lost your all the workbooks and PPT materials, so you can re-download the material once again from the G drive. The G drive links will be present in your course itself. Okay. From there, you'll be having the like we'll be guiding you to the procedure from where you can have this all access. Okay. And let's say if you guys have the good configuration of your system, then we'll be helping you out to set up a home lab. So let's say if you have done with the remote lab access practicing, and you have expired your remote lab access validity, so you can set it up the same lab in your whole laptop and on your server, personal server it may be. So that can be accessible lifetime once the setup is done, so that access remains with you itself. Okay. And for that access and downloading files and all. So we'll be providing you all the files which are required for the home lab setup. So you can download it from the G Drive, and you just need to let us know by raising a ticket on our support DL. One of our team member will connect with you, and we will resolve your setup. Okay. And once the setup is done, that can be accessible whenever you want, and you'll be having the lifetime recording access as well. So you can overview the recording, and you can practice the labs as well. Simultaneously, you'll be having the workbook material access as well. Overall, so once the course is done as well, so you'll be having all the handies with you. So you can access it whenever you want accordingly. And we'll be providing you the 24 into 7 backend support from our network journey team. If you are facing any issues, any queries regarding to the course or regarding to the portal or regarding to the lab, anything it may be. If you are facing any challenges while practicing the lab, if you are not able to move forward, so at that time, you just need to raise a ticket on our support DL. One of our team member will connect with you. Let's say you have raised a concern on our support email. So one of our team member will look into that problem, and he will redirect to the person who can look into it, and you will be getting the solutions with your revert back mail. So how you can access and like in description you will be getting the solution. Okay.